Hello again. Today I'm going to make a milk chocolate cake. It's quite a rich chocolate cake and it's the one that my mother would make for our family for all their celebrations, and so it's affectionately known as Granny Pat's chocolate cake. I don't know where the recipe came from, but it's been around for a very long time. Now I've got the oven on to gas mark 4, which is 180 Celsius. It's 160 if you've got a fan oven, and it's 350 if you're working in Fahrenheit. And I've got 2 sandwich tins, and the recipe specifically says not loose-based tins. So these are not loose-based, and I've got some of my non-stick stuff in there. And these ones are between 7 and 8 inches, so that's sort of 18 to 20 centimetres. So 2 of those ready. If yours are not non-stick, do grease them as well, won't you? Right, so in the mixing bowl I have got 250 grams of caster sugar, and to that I'm going to add 125 of either soft margarine or unsalted butter. And I've got unsalted butter because I quite like using unsalted butter. And I'm going to mix that, cream it, using my little hand mixer, but you can do it by hand if you want to. So here we go. I should explain I'm doing this on a very cold day, and the butter is not ever so soft, and that's why it's jumping around all over the place. So if your butter isn't very soft, beware, because it will fly out of the bowl. Right, there we are. It takes a little while because with this one the proportions are unusual. You've got a lot more sugar than you've got butter or margarine, so it takes a little while to get that to mix. So the next thing to do is to add our eggs. We've got 2 eggs, and I tend to crack them into another container first, just to make sure that I haven't got any shell. So there's one. That's my other one. Large eggs are always good if you can get them. Whoops. Right, there they go. Now, we give that another beat. And now we put in some rather unusual ingredients. I have got here 5 tablespoons of cold water. And to that I'm going to add 5 tablespoons of evaporated milk. This is where the milk chocolate bit comes in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to that I add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. This is going to get messy. Okay. Put the lid on that in case I knock it over. So that gets beaten in as well. Very unusual. Now you can see why fixed base tins are recommended, because this is quite a wet mixture. Okay, now comes the fun part. We add 225 grams of self-raising flour. We put in 2 tablespoons of cocoa, and just on top of the cocoa I've got 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and that brings out the flavour and makes it more chocolatey. So I'm going to sieve this in and try and keep the beaters out of the way. So that goes through the sieve. And that way you get rid of any lumps in your cocoa. And it mixes the salt in quite well as well. Now when you get to the bottom, if you get lumps of cocoa, don't just tip them in, use your fingers and press them through. When I've been working with children, their temptation is always to just tip the sieve upside down and put the lumps in as they are. Well, it defeats the object, doesn't it? So whisk that in. Right, there we have it. The next thing to do really is to go around the outside with a spoon and just make sure that any flour that's stuck to the side of the bowl gets mixed in. And then you're going to share it between the 2 tins and try and get them equal. It doesn't matter if they're not perfect. So 1 for you, 1 for me. At the end I'll push all the mixture off with my finger, and I won't lick my finger because It's bad practice, especially if you're working with children. There's 3 in that one. And 3 in that one. I'll just go round and get as much out as I can now. There we are, half in there. And the other bit in here. And then we're just going to spread those round a bit. So I'll bring it towards me. And you might need to just tap it gently because sometimes the paper in the bottom will slip a bit. So just smooth it out. There we are, that's that one. Now they're going to go in the oven, in the middle of the oven, and they're going to be in there for about 35 minutes. I'm just going to make sure I've got every last drop out of there. So I'm going to go over to the oven and get them in. Middle of the oven, side by side, 35 minutes. Now the timer's gone off, so let's have a look at our cakes. They look rather good. And to test, you need a skewer. And you go into a hole that's already there, so I've got a hole in the middle, down to the bottom of the cake, leave it there for a couple of seconds, pull it out. If there's nothing on there, then the cake is cooked. You can also tell because they're firm and they've slightly shrunk around the outside of the tin. So they're done, and I'm going to leave them on here for about 10 minutes just to set and start cooling. Then I'll go around the edge and I'll tip them upside down, and then I'll peel off the paper from underneath and put them back the right way up and hope they don't break. But that's what you're aiming for, okay? Right, it's been cooling for about 10 minutes, so I'm going to go around the outside with a blunt knife just to make sure it's not stuck. And then flip the tin over at this end and get this one. It's stuck on there, I'll get that off. Around the edge of this one. Flip that one over. And then eventually these will, oh look, there you go, that's how it comes out. Let's see if this one's done. Yep, there we are. So now it's peel off the paper, which I'm going to wash so I can use it again. And then I will let those cool for probably another 20 minutes before I turn them over. And then when they're completely cold, you can either sandwich them together and make a really nice high chocolate cake. What I tend to do is actually use one half at a time, and we traditionally have chocolate spread on the top and Smarties, and we have pretty patterns, or we have just a muddle, it doesn't matter. So you can use 2 halves put together to make a big cake, or you can use the 2 halves individually. And if you don't want to do any of that, you can actually put this in the freezer, put some greaseproof in between, put the other layer on, and you can freeze it until you are ready to use it. But I'm just going to leave those to cool off now, all right?